Michelle. Oh, we're going to have a good show tonight.
I'm so excited.
We've got our special guest, Rose McGowan.
Been waiting for this one.
You are one of those people who how many lifetimes have you had in this one lifetime?
I think probably at least 3 of us in this room have had a lot of lifetimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm definitely one of those.
Did you know early on that this was going to be a wild ride?
I knew at 5 when someone told me I should write a book at age 5. and I turned and I said, you don't know the half of it. World-weary voice. And it's totally true. Like, she didn't know the half of it.
Oh, my God.
I knew it was going to be Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and it has proven to be exactly that. And I think I will continue. It's weird. The middle part of whatever that is, I didn't get that. I got really extremes.
Yeah, straight out of the gate.
Out of the gate.
There's no gray area. Never has been.
I was born into a cult, so no.
Okay, wait. What? You were born into a cult? Tell me, are you from San Francisco?
No, I'm from Italy.
But really?
I'm not Italian. My parents were American and just wanted to spread the word of Jesus.
Yes. Weren't you there because of your dad's?
Yeah.
Ran a chapter.
Yeah, he ran a chapter of something called Children of God, and it was essentially, I think it started out as this idealistic hippies for Jesus. You know, my dad came from a long line of military people. My father was an artist. Like, he was drafted to Vietnam, and they were taking anybody at this point, and he got dishonorably discharged, which he held as a badge of honor his whole life, and managed to get out of going to Vietnam. He would have gotten killed instantly. I would have been fine. He would have been done for. But then he, I think what kept him from being a truly aces human being in this life, and he was an amazing human, but I think, honestly, being a good-looking white male fucked him up. And the need to be worshipped.
Really? Who would play him? How good-looking was he?
He was like a cross between... he looked a lot like... he looked kind of like a cross between me and a young Jack Nicholson.
Oh, wow.
You know? Like, if I was a guy, I would look like that, and he was a woman. We had a lot of, like... I wrote, because I have an album that's getting ready to come out, and one of the songs I wrote about him, and one of the lines is, you made me or did I make you?
Right.
You never know what comes first in that kind of relationship.
Now, did you, as a kid, did you know that you looked like him? At what point did you realize, oh my God, I look just like my father?
And Dixie Carter. Combination.
Dixie Carter?
Yeah.
Cool.
I always thought, every time I saw, she was one of the most beautiful
thank you.
on the planet.
I loved designing women.
Yeah.
Yes, but don't you see a
see
young
it.
Dixie
Yes.
Carter in
I
Rose's
can see
face?
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I never thought.
Oh,
about
stunningly
that.
beautiful. You're a gorgeous one, Rose McGowan.
And as are you. Look at those eyes.
Go on.
I would have slayed in this world with blue eyes. God
You
damn it.
slayed with light brown ones.
So you, at what point did you realize I look like my father?
I think I knew it was more that we were just alike mentally, except for I didn't have his, like, the thing of the worship thing. And I think that comes from just young acolyte women worshiping you,
right?
And then needing that. And a lot of kids, worship their dads. I was not that kid. My birthday card from him when I was 10 was said, "Dear Rose, I've always admired your sense of justice. Happy birthday." I was a very strange child. I was basically an adult nightmare because I was just not having it.
Right. You were born grown.
I was born grown. I was born like, this may be my last go round.
And so
I have to get some shit done here because this might be it.
Siblings?
7.
7
Right.
siblings? All from the same mother and father?
2 halves and 1 half brother. 2 half sisters, 1 half brother. Because my dad had like 2 wives at the same time, kind of thing.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Where was he from?
He was from, I think, kind of all over because he was raised by a Navy man. And it's interesting. His mom was on the naval base, kind of like me. She was an activist for women, and she fell into a depression over, weird stuff in life, as one does. And they hospitalized her, and they were trying to like get rid of her on the base because she was trying to get more support for women and yada yada. And they gave her electroshock therapy.
Oh my God!
Like experimental, and kept her locked up for the rest of her life, like the Navy.
What naval base?
She at that point would have been. I know they were down here at one point.
San Diego or Camp? Yeah.
Camp Pendleton. I think. And then I know they were like in Gig Harbor, Washington. And were you raised in?
I'm from San Diego.
You're from San Diego.
So I know the Navy quite well.
Lots of Stephen Faru.
So growing up, were the 7 brothers and sisters, were you guys all together or what?
We would kind of get split up, and then like 3 of us here, 4 of us there, 2 of us here, 5 of us there.
Are any of them wild child like you?
They're all, yes. 5 out of 6 of us were runaways before the age of 15.
Wow.
5 out of 6 runaways before
5 out of like 8, I guess, yeah.
Before
The age of 15?
Yes. I was a runaway when I was 13. I was taken in by 3 trans women. Now they would be trans women. Back then they just called them drag queens.
Yeah.
And a stripper named Tina, and that was who I hit the road with.
And what city was that in?
Wow. I was a runaway, unfortunately, in Oregon, which is very cold to be a runaway in.
Mhm.
And I ran away from Eugene to Portland and would just take over the nightclub stages dancing at the gay clubs. I was like their pet. And they would dress me up like Charlie Chaplin, and I would knock the other people off the stage with my cane and just like dominate. And I was 13. They were giving me poppers. I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
I was on acid most of the time.
At 13?
Yeah, I did my first hit of acid at the 8th grade. I was done with most things by 16.
Wow.
I was over it by then.
You were over it by then?
Yeah, I was over it.
Huh.
And I'm like, But yeah, I had a lot of good trips. I do wonder what that did to my formative mind. I mean, I think growing up how I did, and then just being a natural born weirdo, I guess.
And then starting
According
drugs
to other
early.
people, and then starting I always wonder like how, like, I mean, maybe that's why, I don't know, I think differently, I think. Than other
Well, I think
people.
that once you expand your mind with hallucinogenics, especially, and all drugs really, and
Yes.
I think
I'm very pro hallucinogenic.
Well, that's the thing is that once
Especially mushrooms.
you sort of break the fourth wall of consciousness, and you get to see that everything is alive, everything is vibrating at a
Everything.
different level, and it gives you a respect and a reverence for the living world.
I think that is completely correct, and it's like it's Dr. Albert Hoffman who actually created LSD.
I saw that documentary
Yeah,
about
it was wild.
yeah.
So it's like 1943, and he's in Switzerland, and he accidentally gets lysergic acid on his hand. And as he said, he rode his bicycle through the forest going home, and he didn't know what was going to happen when that stuff fell on his hand. So
Right.
imagine the purest amount of acid you've ever had in your life, like original. And he's driving through the forest on his bicycle, and he said he saw everything everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, that's kind of, I would say, what it does. I mean, Cary Grant took over, I think, 500 acid trips the thing was that it was all very controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is, obviously, I think Vietnam and the establishment had never seen people freaking it out with long hair and like beginning to think freely.
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine like post-war 1950s, it was a totally different ballgame.
Right.
All of a sudden, there's all these freaks with long hair, like doing stuff they've never done and like rebelling and knowing that these psychotropic drugs were definitely expanding minds, they needed to shut that down, and they did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, people are very afraid of when you can't control the public. The establishment gets very, very.
They try.
They try, but they get very worried. But I always noticed the people when I used to trip. I tripped all through my 20s. The people who freaked out were the ones who were so locked
Wound tight,
and locked into a viewpoint of life that
I think is an illusion.
that is an illusion. It is no
completely-
question an
completely an
illusion.
illusion.
So when that illusion gets cracked,
They literally lose it.
they don't know how to.
Yeah, it's too big.
Yeah, it's too big, and so you have to expand. You have to deconstruct your belief system before,
Right.
and it has to die
I always
before you
say
can
look
rebuild
at
it.
and unpack it.
Thank
like,
you.
Unpack.
So is it like
Yeah.
the blue
shit.
pill, red pill thing? It's
It is, in essence, we're talking about the Matrix. It is like that, but it really does help if you never thought that way. I always felt like the boy who fell to earth, so I never.
I was not. I was the with the most perfect orange hair color in the world. David
Yes.
Bowie, the man who fell to earth. Thank you.
Oh
But
my God! Yes,
I was always like, I know I don't belong here. I
Right.
know I'm here for a reason. Everybody's here for a reason, I suppose. But I know I have some big thing that I need to do, and then I'm out.
Yes.
wow.
Well, but see, when I dropped acid the first time, it was the confirmation of the world, the living world
As
that
you
I
knew.
had thought it was
Was
all the
there.
time. I suspected this is what it is, but I couldn't get anyone else to commiserate with me. Like, is this? Finally, it happened, and I was like, yes.
You found somebody to talk to.
This is the world that I always
Yeah,
imagined. And so you were in Oregon.
Well, now I want to go do acid.
Well,
so
you
thanks.
know.
No, it's really like a little bit. You don't have to start at the 8th grade dance like I did.
Well, you
Right.
could start with mushrooms, which is doesn't
mushrooms.
get,
I would go mushrooms.
Yeah.
Is that like
not-
ayahuasca?
No,
No.
not at all.
Okay.
Ayahuasca is like I think the big granddaddy of everything.
Right.
I've not done that. I would say like psilocybin mushrooms. Like they say, like microdosing, which is not even really making you particularly high. It actually is a complete. They're doing massive research on it right now, especially in Germany, as to how it like actually rewires your brain and cures depression. And it's not like a St. John's wort thing. It actually really is rewiring people's
Not a placebo,
brains. It's
it's
not
a-
a
yeah.
placebo. It's actually an effect.
Wow.
So you're 13, running around with these transsexuals in Oregon as Charlie Chaplin.
Collecting cans because they give you 10 cents a can.
I remember that.
Buying my Wet n Wild red lip liner, thank you, and my Aquanet. Mm-hmm.
Can't live without it.
I had like punk short hair and like, but I used so much Aquanet, my bangs snapped off one day. Literally, I hit them with my hand and they just flew across the room. I was like, oh.
I love that. I could totally relate to
Also,
this.
Aquanet makes a great flamethrower.
Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
does.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. And so, okay, and that at this point, how did you get from Oregon to Hollywood?
Yeah. Well, what happened is I wound up going to Seattle, and my dad was escaping something in Montreal, so he was driving like a bat out of hell, and we wound up meeting in Seattle, and I lived there for about a year and a half, and not really my scene. Because I was wearing lipstick and had dyed black hair, and they were pretty granola overall, and
You're like a goth girl.
Didn't
and-
really like. I wasn't really a goth. I was just like this moth. I was like a cross between a mod and a goth, and like I just always had my own weird thing going on.
Mm.
But I just didn't blend. You know how that is,
Mhm.
and and some people just know you're different, and they. But Seattle was nicer about it than Oregon. Oregon, they want to kill you for being
Right.
different. They just want to it's like an insect. Instead of looking, whoa, I've never seen the spots on wings. They just want to kill it,
Right, exactly.
and that's a lot of this country, and it's a big problem.
It is a
And-
big problem.
and I'm like, but what if? Because I think it's like human acid. I think it blows their mind that like the idea that there could be something different
Yeah,
or a different approach to life.
yeah.
And that just, but I'm like, don't you want to be free?
Mhm.
Don't you want to be free of the societal constructs that you know deep down are bullshit, which is why you feel empty, which is why, especially like, honestly, like patriarchal white male dominance, especially like that, like, it's an illusion. The superiority trip is an illusion. And that's what I think, like, deep down, like, especially in Hollywood, like these guys get like there's a lot of emptiness, and I think a lot of it is based on that. Like, earn what your worth is.
And I want to talk
You're not
about
born to it.
that with you for a minute too, because this whole new Rose McGowan
But
reborn.
it's not actually new.
That's what I was
It
just gonna say.
always,
It's
but
always
just-
been there.
It came out in public finally.
Correct.
Because I always did my activism privately because I hated when I was an actress how I was sold. And there was no Instagram or Twitter. You couldn't speak for yourself.
Right.
And so every interview was slanted, sold by the studio in a
Sure.
certain way, and had absolutely nothing to do with who I was. But if you actually read my interviews, my very first interview I ever did in a magazine, someone reminded me recently, like my first 2 words in print were "fuck you."
Yeah.
So
That stuff doesn't usually just pop up. It's lived with you forever.
No, when I was 11, I was handing out anti-Ayatollah Khomeini flyers on the Ave in Seattle, protesting his treatment of women and children in Iran. I'm sure I made a real dent in that.
Well, I don't want to get too far ahead, but
Sorry.
I just want to go back. I want to go back to the cult thing because I don't understand if your parents were in this sort of cult storyline, how
We escaped.
you escaped, and how did you still come out with this sort of open mind
Yeah.
towards the universe?
Well, I was just always that way, They would sit on my bed, not my parents, but because there's like 200 people in the group.
It was a commune.
It was a commune. And they would sit on my bed at the end of the night, just randomly, different people saying, "Rose, have you let God into your heart today?" And I would say, "No, not today. Try tomorrow." And as I reasoned, it was not that I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in their God.
Right.
And I knew if I said I believe in God, they just wanted me to say it so they could feel okay.
Yes.
Like,
Right.
I've never been able to do that. Like,
Yeah.
I was locked up in drug rehab when I was 13. That's what I escaped from and became homeless after that because I'd done 1 hit of acid. And that 1 hit of acid at the 8th grade dance really changed the trajectory of, or it was just didn't change. It was always that trajectory. I was always like, don't tell me what to do. I'm fully grown. I might be miniature, unfortunately. I took my parents to court, which were close. My dad died, but we were close after.
Emancipated.
I represented him. I was my own lawyer at 15 and divorced my parents.
Goodness.
But I needed to get my own bank. I just couldn't have anyone control me. I hated
Yeah.
it. And then, of course, I
Are
wound
you a
up.
Virgo by chance?
Yes.
Oh my God. Makes complete
What?
Makes complete sense. So am I. I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't
You
have
can't
this
have-
yoke around my neck.
yes.
But, of course, then in Hollywood, that's exactly what happened.
Right,
Right.
right.
Like, the cult finally got me.
Well,
At one
the
point.
cult of Hollywood.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We've got Rose McGowan. So much to talk about.
And we're only up to 13.
We'll be right back. Michelle, I can't even tell you how much value I've gotten out of therapy over the years.
Oh, I know it, honey.
Talk about, deconstructing the way my brain thinks, and then having someone to talk about all of these things with is so interesting and beautiful, and it's like a flower blooming.
A lot of people think they can do it on their own, and let me tell you, we're not here to tell you that you can't do it on your own, that you can work on yourself, you can try to deconstruct, but having somebody that knows how to help you sift through them and isn't emotionally charged is the way to go. And that's where Talkspace works.
I love Talkspace.
That's where they enter. You can join over 300,000 users who already know that with Talkspace, you can text, you can audio message, which is my favorite thing to do. You can video message your therapist as many times as you want without having to wait a week for your next appointment. Because, Rue, that's the most frustrating things when you're writing down stuff to talk about, when a lot of therapists are like, no, just talk about what's coming up at the moment in time.
Yes,
exactly. No, I want to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
But Talkspace is basically your therapist, and they're always in your pocket or on your computer. And let me break it down. Let me deconstruct this. Okay. This is how it works. You go to Talkspace.com/Rue, or you're going to download their app on your mobile. Then you're going to speak with a Talkspace therapist representative, and that's where you're going to share who you are, what you want to get out of therapy, what you need, and then you're going to pick a plan, and you're going to be assigned a therapist that best fits your need.
Now, that's the important part, because you want someone who understands what you're going through and someone that you actually relate to.
Oh, and honey, sometimes it'll take a few.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Talkspace is there for that. And with Talkspace, you don't just have professional that you see once a week, but someone right at your fingertips to be there for you consistently when you need it, and someone you can always go to. So for $30 off your first month, and check it out, you can go to Talkspace.com/Rue, or you can download the Talkspace app on the Apple or Android, you know how to do it, and use the coupon code RU. And just know, you guys, that with Talkspace, you're never alone.
We've got Rose McGowan. Such a life, such an incredible life, and I'm trying to wrap my brain around it. I shouldn't try to wrap my brain around.
I'm writing a book right now.
You're writing a book.
Yeah,
What do you have a title?
Brave.
Brave. Right on, lady. So, okay,
It's like a memoir/manifesto.
Oh, I love it.
It's fantastic.
Manifesto.
Are you writing this for yourself or for young
Everybody.
women, for everyone?
Not like I speak very specifically to men in this book. I'm actually putting it's a tough book. It's been a books are beasts. And people they expect you to, like, if you're writing, to go out to dinner and you're like, wait, I'm stuck in some hellish childhood thing right now. And, you're stuck in it. It's very weird. And it's definitely the beast of my life right now. It was due last Friday.
And did you meet the deadline?
No, but maybe in a couple weeks.
Last Friday.
Yeah, right.
And womp womp. Sorry, but I'm drawing parallels between the cult of Hollywood and the cult I grew up in, and the cult of thought that I've really noticed in America and throughout the world, but very specifically in America. I came when I was 11, and I noticed, there was this whole big thing about Russian propaganda when I came to American schools. They're always talking about that. And I'm like, what do you guys think you're doing? Like, your propaganda is real.
Yes.
Real deep.
Yeah.
Like, seriously deep.
You only need to go out of the country
to know that.
Correct.
Well, I felt that way with the Bible when they said something. I didn't read the Bible, but I was told it says, I am one God, and I'm a jealous God. I'm like, jealous of who? If you're the one God, who are you jealous of? And I could never figure that out.
Beyonce.
It didn't make it Beyonce,
Yeah,
exactly.
It's the one true God.
Yeah. And so that was the first time my brain said, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense.
There was a lot of it that I was like, what? Also, it's arbitrary. It goes, and it's written by men, and that benefits men.
Right, right.
It benefits, and we came originally from, during like Egypt, from a matriarchal society, and once that was exploded, never to come back. It's been like the great great propaganda that's been pushed forth to the world from the Bible, mostly. I mean, that's so. I deal with that a little bit in the book, but it's a lot of my stories woven through just like living a really brave life, which I have.
You've always been balls out.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, just why not? Like, what's my alternative? I don't know the alternative.
I agree.
I literally don't know it. And I can tell you two are like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So now
big.
you were 13, and at what point did you find your tribe?
That's a hard one to say. I found people here and there all over the world. I have more friends internationally than I do in America. And I love America. I love the way it looks. I love the nature. I love a lot of things about it. I've been having a much harder time being a patriot. And I don't think patriot is necessarily what it means here.
Right.
I don't believe the mythology surrounding that here either. But at what point? Then, that my first tribe were the transsexuals. That the gay community was my tribe. Those were my people. These were my brothers. They raised me. I raised them. I held my friends dying in my arms. I'm about to direct actually a piece on this woman that I've never heard of in history, and her name's Ruth Coker Burks, and I wrote the thing. It's called Keeper of Memories, and I'm going to expand it into a longer film. She's a woman from Georgia in 1984, like right when AIDS was really just busting out, and Georgia, and she was visiting a friend in the hospital, and the next door they had like this hazmat thing over the door next door, and she was like, "What's that about?" She heard this young boy crying out for his mother. And she saw the nurses in the hallway. I'm doing this in the script. They're playing paper, rock, scissors to see who was going to have to go in. And at this point, undertakers weren't taking people. The hospital wouldn't treat them. And so this young woman, like a belle of society there, snuck into the room and sat with this young boy, Billy. Weirdly enough, her mother was eccentric and had deeded her 400 plots in a cemetery so she could ban the rest of the family from being buried there. And so this young woman, had 400 plots in a cemetery. She started, it's more real than the Dallas Buyers Club. She said she's never seen such love as she saw between partners holding their partner that was dying. She personally hand buried over 400 men because undertakers wouldn't touch them. And she bought like all these cookie jars to use as urns. And she called herself Keeper of Memories because she's the only one who knows where these graves are.
Wow.
And their families wouldn't come for them. And this young boy, Billy, was crying out. He wanted his mom and he wanted his red dress.
Oh.
And so
What's her name? What was her name?
Ruth Coker Burns.
Ruth Coker Burns.
And I'm going to do
Atlanta?
a movie about her. This is just a little town. It's maybe Atlanta. I'm not exactly sure where in Georgia. I couldn't think of it. But no, she was on the front line hard. And without any kind of knowledge of the gay community, of like anything about AIDS.
Just human compassion.
Just humanity. She was just humanity. And she said she learned more about love from seeing partners together than she ever had from heterosexuals or her family. And this was and she was helping them fill out their death certificates. It's real. Like this woman went through and them, and she just found them and they found her. So like over 400 and something.
Have you directed anything before?
Yes, I directed a film called Dawn about a year and a half ago. It was nominated for Grand Jury Prize at Sundance and qualified for the Oscar.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Dawn. And is it available out there somewhere?
Yeah, I actually it was in theaters, and I put it on YouTube because I don't want to make money from it. I wanted to promote art and thought for free. And it's set in 1961, and it's incredibly beautiful, and it's kind of like a haunting jewel.
Right. Can the two narratives coexist? Being a rebel and being doing your own thing, but also working within the Hollywood system.
I don't agree with the Hollywood system, and I don't believe I have to work within it.
But there are people who have been able to keep both narratives going.
I don't think I'm that person.
You're not that person.
I don't think so. Mostly because I terrify people in this town. I walk through a restaurant and they just look at me like, their eyes they're terrified of me.
Should they
Men
be?
here are terrified. I guess.
They should be?
I mean, no. I think it's okay to just think differently. I think it's okay to understand that you have this privilege that you need to destroy. I don't think it's okay for 96% so if people look at the DGA, that's the Directors Guild, their union, so it's 96% males. And so with that, and that statistic hasn't changed since 1946. So that means the thought and propaganda going out for the world is largely white male. And it's America's #1 export. And people think like, oh, Hollywood is like this. I'm like, Hollywood spreads to the world. Like, we're making mad inroads into China right now. We're just serving up slop on a stick. And we all know they call them the flyover states here, which is classist. And they just like throw slop on a screen. Don't care. Well, this will make money. And the thing is, like, Hollywood is a myth. It was Hollywood Land. It was a real estate company's name. Land fell down in 1929. So I don't understand why the ladies here fight so hard to get a seat at the table where I'm like, start your own goddamn table.
Right.
What are you doing?
Well, that's a perfect point, because what responsibility does the audience, does women have to make that happen? Because, in this past election, 53% of white women were complicit in...
Do you know can you imagine what their husbands and their fathers are like? And their brothers?
You know what they're like.
I sure do.
You know what they're like.
Yeah.
And so you know what these women Had they not been around those men, do you think they would have voted that way?
No, I know women specifically, wives of husbands that are so white and controlling, and they earn the money.
I know that's what it is.
And I know that if they weren't with them, they
Some
would not
are
have voted.
for sure just dickheads.
Yeah.
Fact.
Yeah.
But a lot, it's because the brainwashing, the conditioning,
Yes.
their area.
Yep.
Just because they're married white women, I'm like, married is the key word here. Notice that single white women didn't. So what's the difference here? That would be the attachment.
Well, yes, but devil's advocate, also.
Also, they could be total douchebags.
They could be douchebags, but also there's a lifestyle. There's a doctrine of the way they've been processed and
Completely
lived.
They've been brainwashed.
It's
Gloria Steinem got in trouble for it, but I don't care. She's like, it's true. You have been culturally brainwashed, because when I came here, I was like, yo, y'all are brainwashed. Like, I was 11 when I saw that. And I was always in trouble at schools when I went to schools, because I was always trying to point out hypocrisy, double standards. This also doesn't make sense. Why are you living your life this way? Why are you going small? Like, why keep your life small?
Because not everybody's able to go big.
Why not? I disagree.
Well, I go back to Bewitched. I was having this discussion yesterday. I love the show Bewitched. The only thing that ruins it today is the laugh track. But here was an enlightened being who was going to outlive everybody she's smarter than everybody.
And she has to deal with all these idiots.
But she has to deal with them all, and she has to make herself small because she wanted to experience love. She wanted to experience human love in this planet. She knew it wasn't going to be forever. She's immortal. So here's this pivotal television show. She's so smart, and for every time she had to write a slogan for one of these products, she would dissect what the product was, get it down to its very basics, and then come up with a slogan about. But here she, but you
but give it to her husband so he
and give it to him so he could do it.
Look like
and he can get the credit.
But she understood the game. She understood she knew that the game wasn't going to have it.
But it's not my game.
But because a game.
Because I think the game's an illusion.
It is an illusion.
So I can't play in that illusion.
But I got to tell you, Rose, my 10th grade teacher told me, he said, RuPaul, and I was in a terrible place, do not take life too seriously.
Right.
I didn't get it then. I certainly get it now. And the key word is too seriously.
Oh, I think it's all absurd.
You've got to laugh.
Oh,
You've got to laugh at it.
I do.
And not let it hurt your heart. And the same with this election. I'm still not over it yet.
No.
But I've got to say.
I don't think we can be, because it's ongoing.
It's ongoing.
It's
whether we might all die.
We're
we're like on a giant bus careening off a cliff with blindfolded idiot drivers.
Clearly.
And nobody's.
And they're driving over the bodies of women and everybody different.
Everybody.
Everybody.
But then you have to ask, I go back to the original question, which is, what responsibility do women and people of color and are complicit in this storyline?
They're in the Matrix.
They're in the Matrix.
They don't have to be. You can literally opt out.
For you, but
True.
And for me.
But that's because I was raised differently, informed differently. I know this. But my book, I want to, there's a woman I know the way when I speak to people, I flip their brains, and I leave a lot of them with I want 10% more consciousness from every level of consciousness. That's what I'm going for. I don't care if you're still stupid. I just want you 10% faster. That 10%, if everyone on the freeway was going 10% faster, you'd all be going 150 miles an hour. It'd be great. Just streamline it. Just evolve 10%. So what I've been doing very purposefully is kind of being an agitator, punching at the Matrix, just glitching it. Fucking with the sacred cows. I'm you're not sacred to me. You didn't ask me to join your mafia. You just assumed I'd keep your secrets. You did not.
Yes, but you don't want to harm yourself. And there's nothing more dangerous than ignorant people. And I go back to Samantha Stevens.
Oh, they might kill me. Is that what you mean?
Well, or make your life just really miserable.
I'm not doing. No, I have an incredible life. And I have amazing people in my life, and I am.
But you're on a mission.
But I'm on a mission. Yeah. It's okay to have one.
It's okay to have a mission. I just want to go back to Samantha Stevens for a minute, because as an enlightened ascended master, really. She was she understood the game. She didn't take it too seriously because she knew she was going to go unchanged no matter what you guys do. And she could snap out of it any moment. She didn't take it too seriously. She knew her husband was an idiot. She knew everybody around her was an idiot. Right. She was going to play the game along.
Where she and I are different is that I cannot abide idiots. Like, I can't do it. I've had to do it. I did it for so long in Hollywood in my career. I had so many idiots' thumbs over me, abusive thumbs, and I was supposed to just take it and absorb it. And the thing is, like, yes, you've lived your life differently. But just like I do not know what it's like to be a Black man, I can guess at a lot of things. I know what it's like to constantly be discounted. I know what it's constantly like to be like, I used to get followed in every store I ever went into because I looked like a weirdo. Everyone thought I stole, which I never did. The harassment, the constant, but what I tried to explain it to like this kind of bro-y guy the other night what sexism was. And I go, it's a little like, imagine, okay, you're spending 45 minutes, you bought this girl 2 drinks, you like, and then this guy swoops in and totally cock blocks you for no reason. And you're like, man, I just wasted 45 minutes of my life. Now imagine that 6 times a day, every fucking day, just by some random idiot you run into, or a big idiot, or like not an idiot, but they just do this unconsciously. They don't get necessarily what they're doing. It's not necessarily that they're evil. It's just that they're not open and enlightened.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is like my specialty is dropping like brain droppings that kind of pop a thought open, and then I leave. You do your own work. You unpack your own shit. But I'm going to give you one little tool here to do it, and then I'm out. And that guy like was like, "Whoa, that's the first time I've understood what sexism was." I'm like, yeah, it's just like being blocked all the time for no reason.
One reason, because you have a vagina.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is that one reason, and it's such a boring reason.
It is.
It is.
So
oh my God,
old-fashioned.
It's so
boring.
basic. I think
I'm like, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to make, like, Mandela, paraphrasing it, don't make yourself smaller to make another light shine bigger. I believe in that. I don't believe in making myself smaller. I did for a long time. I was a bad celebrity. I was a very good actress, very strong actress. And nobody ever asked me about my methods, but I had them. And I did deep. I look so different all the time because I changed my weight, the teeth, the hair color, my posture, my cadence for every single role. And I did that so I could throw off the public constantly too. So I didn't look, I would be left alone more, because if you're not somebody that comes here with that hole in your chest that needs it, it's a very different ball game for somebody that just wants to do it as a trade. Do a very good job as that trade, but I was never in love with that trade. It was like, I'm also really good at tying my shoes.
Yeah.
A former actor, you don't have any interest of doing it anymore.
I just turned down a job with this guy that like won Cannes, and it's a great script, and I thought about it, and I thought, I just don't want to be in service to other people's ideas anymore. I've got a lot of my own, and I've been in the last like 2.5 years been kind of building this DIY multimedia empire behind the scenes. That's it's in the final stretch of I see the end in sight before it can all come out. And what that's going to be is like kind of starting in November, every 2 months, I'm going to be hitting a release in different, like if everything's like a bicycle wheel, like a different spoke. Like I have a skincare line I've been working on for 9 years. I synthesized a lake in eastern Washington. There's only 2 like it in the world. It's like heel skin. The Native Americans used to take these muds and all this stuff. And then, but also like music, book, TV, film, all these things.
Producing and writing.
But also hitting it from all sides, like hitting the public from all sides. If you make inroads into just one genre or one bicycle spoke, then you're hitting those people. I want all of it.
Well, I want to talk all about that. We got Rose McGowan. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Michelle, what'd you cook for dinner last night?
Oh, thank you for asking, Rue. Well, last night the Blue Apron actually came yesterday, and Lola's like, "Can I have some ribs?" We get the ribs from Whole Foods that she loves.
Yeah.
I don't like touching slabs of ribs, but anyway, I'd make them for my kid.
Yeah.
With that said, Blue Apron this week, the meals that we got was knockwurst with New England baked beans and coleslaw, or chicken parmesan that wasn't deep fried. It was made in a skillet, so it's much healthier without breading on it.
Yeah.
And fresh garlic parmesan rolls with it, right?
Yeah.
So they opted for the chicken parmesan. I made it. I killed it. I killed that shit.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So it was chicken parmesan. It went into the oven. Then I put the rolls in with it.
Yeah.
And then I made summer squash, I ate the summer squash. And I put some onions in it, even though it didn't call for that. Put some onions and garlic with the summer squash and made that up. They were happy with the other stuff. And I ate the summer squash and gave them a little bit. And it was so easy to make. You sit there. I'm telling you, you guys, you get the box of stuff for less than $10 a meal. Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients. It's all there.
Yeah.
and they tell you what to do. You just read off of the thing. You make delicious home-cooked meals. They loved it. Blue Apron knows that when you cook with incredible ingredients, you're going to make incredible meals, and that's what I made last night. So they set the highest quality standards. You guys know how picky I am. I love it. They have a community of 150 artisanal suppliers, so they know where everything's coming from.
I see.
They're not trusting somebody else. They know exactly where the products are coming from. They know that they're family-run farms, they're fisheries, they're ranchers. They know everybody. So some of the upcoming meals include warm smoked trout and asparagus salad with fingerling potatoes and
Oh, you had me at fingerling.
I knew I did.
Yeah,
I'm saying your words. But how about garlic croutons?
Oh, girl.
How about spiced zucchini enchiladas with creamy lime and tomato rice?
You know I live for an enchilada.
Peach honey glazed chicken with mashed sweet potatoes, collard greens, and Thai basil.
Oh, my goodness. It all sounds so delicious. This is Blue Apron at its best.
Yes, and you can customize your recipes each week. So if I look at it and say, you know what, my family had enough red meat.
Yeah.
I don't want red meat this week. I'll switch it out for something else. You can choose delivery options to fit your needs. No weekly commitment if you want to skip a week. I've skipped 4 weeks when I was away. You know, it's easy to do, you guys, and each meal comes with a step-by-step, really easy to follow recipe. I'm telling you, if you never know what to make, Blue Apron is going to change your life. It's super affordable. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free. Not 1, but 3 with free shipping. Go to blueapron.com/Ru. That's blueapron.com/RU. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
We are back with Rose McGowan. My goodness, so much, so much. You're clearly so highly. You're rocking a lot of stuff. You're smart. Always been too smart for school. Always been too smart.
Well, that's
too
funny.
aware.
I've had so many people say, like, you're too smart for this. I'm like, no, I'm too smart for you.
You have a hard time finding people that you can hang out with?
Yes.
Yeah, I would imagine.
But not like because I'm like this intense all the time. We're just happen to be talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
It's more just,
Yeah, but on your level.
yeah, that's a... my French friend calls me Ferrari brain.
I love it.
It's a Virgo. It's an analytical mind. You know, it just does that thing. And that was the part with acting for me, because acting, it takes emotion, stamina, but it's not cerebral. And for me, that's where I live. I live in my mind. And I felt like my brain was atrophying. It was. I felt like I was dying.
But can't you do both? Can't you be like a hybrid car and because the
I don't know if
balance,
Rose can.
the ability to balance, the meditation or whatever, the ability to find the balance in both places
But I
is.
hate it.
There needs to be interest.
You hate what?
Acting.
You hate acting.
I've always hated. I realized that was the problem, and honestly, I related more to trans people than I ever had because I was in the incorrect skin of life. I was so uncomfortable. Everybody, imagine, coming up to you is relating to this idea of you that's not remotely close to you, and you're trapped. You know, and people like expect you to be a certain way, always react to as if you're going to be a certain way, which is in their head. But it doesn't make allowance for who you actually are.
Right.
You know, and that gets tricky. And for me, like, I'm interested in being somebody else maybe for like 4 days, but not 2 months.
Right.
Like, I would rather be in my own brain, and I've got too much to
But
do.
again, go back to Samantha Stevens. Here's someone who knows how long Samantha Stevens was alive. Maybe she had been alive.
Who wrote Samantha Stevens?
Exactly.
So of course she's gonna be a perfect role model for all the women in America. Look, your goofy husband, and give him the good ideas. Well, he takes the credit. And
but she ends up
She
being
did
the
want love.
smarter one.
Well, of course she's the smarter one.
And
But she was always the smarter one.
She was always a smarter one, but she's also smart enough to know that there's nothing they could throw at her that could diminish her, or that she is eternal. So she knew Cleopatra, she knew, and her mother would say, why are you wasting your time with this stuff?
Yeah, I liked
the
Dora.
The truth.
She was my girl.
But Samantha said, this is but a blip. So she didn't let it get to her.
Right.
She just played small. She played small, and that's what we, the audience, saw.
And that trained the audience. People watch stuff and they mirror that, and that's where it gets dangerous.
But when you take another 2 steps back and look at that same thing, you realize, no, she was actually the smarter one.
Yes, but not. It depends on what you want. Also, so far as I know, I'm not immortal. Pity. I've always wanted to be a vampire.
Your thoughts are you are immortal. Actually, your
yeah.
thoughts, the things that you're thinking, and the things that you want other people to think
it's ageless.
are timeless,
They're timeless.
and they're but the problem, and I'm arguing this point too because
but
I come from that same
but
place,
I did that.
and I've
It
learned
just
that
didn't work for me personally.
I've learned that it's important to not take it all too serious. Everything you're saying is absolutely spot on.
Right,
It's
but
spot
I'm still
on.
in fight mode.
But but fight
now.
mode, you're here to experience this life,
I am.
and it's important to not take it too serious. Not that it's not serious.
There's certain points, like right now in my book, it's intense. And you know, when you're writing your book, it kind of writes you at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? It
and you
brings
find out
everything
things
up.
about yourself
And you
that
relive it.
And I'm really in this mode right
Yeah.
now. This is my focus.
Mhm, I
So
get
I'm
it.
really in that mode. When the book comes out, I'm going to have a ceremonial burning and let
Mhm.
all that go. But right now it's a focus, and right now I do have a mission, and it's something that I don't really care if I make other people uncomfortable.
Mhm.
I was on NPR recently, and the male host, of course, goes, "What if what you're saying makes men uncomfortable?"
Mhm.
And I was like, "Do you remember when you were little and you were uncomfortable because your legs hurt, because you had growing pains? Guess what? You got taller.
Mhm.
Bonus. Don't you want to do that internally? Isn't it okay to be uncomfortable? People are so afraid of being uncomfortable. I'm like, it passes just like anything else.
Right.
Mhm.
You got wet
Mhm.
jeans on. That's uncomfortable. Take them off.
Right.
Your legs hurt. You're going to be taller. Grow. It's okay. Like the fact is that I think so many males are so locked in, and I feel bad for them. I really do.
It's terrible.
I feel
They're in a box.
I feel a great pity for them. I don't feel that much of a pity because they're hurting us, but because they're in control. So I can't feel that much pity. But I do feel bad for them as a pathetic species in some ways. Like, damn, you could have such a big life. It doesn't have to be like this. You don't have to conform to this idea of what you're supposed to be. You don't have to, in America specifically, it seems like the only emotional training that they're given here, the only time you can show emotion is around sports, so you can rage, and that's like an angry emotion. Like, what's wrong? That's so sad. You're so, like, that breaks my heart for you. Don't you want to experience it all internally and emotionally and, like, physically? Like, I want all of it.
Yes, but see what you realize too, and I want to ask you about, have you carried any of that spiritual practice from your youth at all, or into your life? But what you realize in this whole situation is that those people are your teacher. You are
No,
not
I've learned
their
it.
teacher.
I've learned enough. I still have a lot more to learn.
To
But
learn not
from-
what to
From
learn.
the type, from the I've also, as you have, met more people than most will in like 200 lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I live in Enid, Oklahoma, and I'm making these pronouncements based on my tiny town I've never seen outside of that. Like, I'm very familiar with the world.
Yeah.
And how societies work, how they're different, how they're similar, how they can improve. And having grown up and worked outside of every societal norm, I watch patterns and I see where things could just be tick, 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 tick,
Mhm.
and fixed, done. And then I can go, cool. But I got to give it a shot. I have to.
Give it.
Like,
You should.
this has been, acting was always, I always knew, when I was 6, I knew I was going to be famous before I ever saw a movie and knew what fame was. I just always knew, but I always knew it wasn't the big thing.
Mhm.
It was not the big thing in my life, but it was going to get me a platform.
Mhm.
And what happens is when you're well known, and I spent like 7 years deconstructing being famous for the wrong reasons and breaking that down and killing it, and coming into my own, because imagine you're 17 and then for 20 years, every single thing that comes out of your mouth is something a white male wrote for you to say. It's fucking meta and deep.
Mhm.
And then you're shot by one, interpreted by one, sold by one, sold to them. And the way I was sold was like my worth was valued by like how much semen you could extract from the masses.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I have a different perspective on it than you. I've had a different life. And in a female body, and especially the sex symbol, former sex symbol, we don't get out of here alive.
No.
This town is paved on our bodies.
Right.
It makes people insane.
And then you'll be
Literally, they lose
dragged
their mind.
when that
Yeah.
starts to change.
Do you,
Yeah, I was dragged, of course.
Do you have a spiritual practice?
I'm actually funny. I'm going to start transcendental meditation. I have my own, as I've a very, like for a long time, like the thing I related to the most, I thought, was the astronaut out there on the rope floating by himself. But then I realized I was actually the stars watching him. I'm the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I live
Mm-hmm.
in my mind and kind of in my heart and in my spirituality. It's so connected to, like, I kind of feel like I'm 10% off the ground all the time, like trying to get home in some weird way.
I love that. I love the imagery of that. But but as you said that, I saw you as the stars looking at Earth and seeing, and that quiet, that silent,
I love silence.
stillness of that picture there. There's so much to be learned about how to navigate this life from that experience, from that silence. And that's where it's not being content. That's where the balance can come in, because all the things you're talking about, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But who else is going to do it, Ru?
Well,
who else is going to do it but
universe,
for me?
those stars, that there is a balance in that universe with the stars and the floating. It's all actually, from that perspective, it's all perfect.
And that's what I see. It's all it's all this, but why not go in and twist some dials?
Sure, do it, but never. Don't forget your own peace and your own enjoyment. Now, when you walked in here, you talked about you had been to McDonald's.
Well, I was in a hurry. I don't.
We're not judging. We're not judging.
I broke my McDonald's habit last year.
Did you have a habit?
12-step program?
I had a habit.
12-step program?
12-step program, for sure.
Yeah.
What did you eat?
Happy Meals.
And that was your drug of choice?
Meals. I get 2 Happy Meal orders.
And your body seems to never change.
No, actually,
and
it
I
does.
eat a lot of pasta.
You used to be this voluptuous girl.
I gained weight for roles. I would gain weight, like on Charmed, I gained 15 pounds on purpose because I came in, it was very strategic because I knew I was coming in to a show that had, in the 4th season, and most shows don't survive major cast changes. And it was kind of my determination not to let it die. Kind of, maybe I should have sometimes, I don't know. But I was like, no. So I knew the only way, and I knew a lot of people were going to be against me the second I came on the screen because they were really attached to the other character. And so I knew that if I made myself like as cutesy and as likable and soft as possible, I have much sharper angles on my face than Paige does.
Right.
But I gained that weight on purpose so I could be like me, and it worked. I doubled the ratings.
Interesting.
And it became the longest running female show in TV history.
See, this keeps striking me about you is that you are a shapeshifter, and you've always
That's funny.
been.
That's what my ex called me.
And the thing is, but there is, you are also stubborn and grounded in this ideal that
I was raised by idealist.
So that's the part.
Okay.
That's the dichotomy for me, because I think talk about this the character on Charmed, which is pliable. I mean,
yeah,
that was
actually the hardest character I've ever played because it was beyond unlike me.
That was your teacher. She was your teacher. I didn't
need 5 years of teaching.
Well,
yeah.
Listen, it's an interesting thing when you're out there on the rope and the stars, and you look back and you see your journey when you're in that place, and you go, "Oh, look here! Oh, okay, there."
Of course, you download all the information. You crunch. I think you should anyway.
Yes.
Like really look at where you've come from, where you want to go. But I don't I could be in Istanbul tomorrow. I have no clue. I've always lived my life as an adventurer, but I am a fighter, and that is different than most people.
When are you going to put is there a
Why
time?
do I have to?
Because the idea of being human on this planet is
human.
to let it be, to be an observer. You came here to observe.
No, I didn't.
What are you here for?
I'm here to stir shit up. I did
For
not
who?
come
For who?
Because I've been of service in a way to take people. When I was an actress, I knew I was being of service, as you are.
And before in a cult.
And before in a cult. I was always, at age 3, farmed out to sick and dying kids' hospitals, singing them Jesus songs. We were all playing on the streets for money, singing Jesus songs, like always like performing good deeds. And while they were doing it for the press, so see, we're not scary, join us, I was doing it for real. And I know the difference I make, and I've worked a lot of stuff behind the scenes that nobody knows about, and I've made really significant changes in a lot of people's lives. And I know I can do that now on a grand scale.
You can. You have, and you can, and you will.
I appreciate you being concerned for my chillness, and that, and I'm a beast. I'm just a different animal.
I don't think anybody will ever take that away from you, even if you did decide to be pliable. That piece lives within you.
I had to be pliable professionally, and I don't really.
You know what's coming up for me now is that you're absolutely right. The reason I'm saying this to myself because I know exactly what you're talking about, and I have to remind myself, Ru, enjoy life now. It's, I think about Martin Luther King, and I think about even Jane Fonda, who risked their lives. And but many people have done. I mean, Gandhi, they all risked their lives to tell people Soylent Green is people.
This
and you know what people did?
Doing.
They came back and said,
kill them.
can I get an order, a Happy Meal with
Soylent
Green on the side?
What if you can do both?
You can. That's the balance. That's
yeah.
out in the stars, and
Yeah.
you see that is the balance of the universe, and that's the piece that I am looking for, because
Yeah.
I get so angry about all the things. I could see it's plain as day. It's like, is anybody else seeing this
we're
over
all
here?
in the backwards world right now. Like, this is
Yes.
backwards.
We're all in the
It's
upside
backwards.
down.
We're all
Yeah.
upside
It's
down.
all tilted.
But we actually are. We're actually hanging upside down off
We
the earth right now.
Yeah,
Our
you're
feet are,
exactly
we're
right.
upside down.
You're absolutely right.
Literally.
That's where we are. So
So-
what do you do in that state? Yes,
Yeah.
be a fighter, but at the same time,
No, I want to be like just be the change you want to see. Be the change
You
you
walk
want to
the
see.
walk and talk the
I
talk.
do.
do it. Do it.
I have to. It is my destiny.
Well,
But
on
you
behalf
also-
of women, though, I'm going to say,
because there's nobody fighting for us
correct, the balls that she's been having in the public, in the press.
in the press, and I go
Specifically.
after them. I go after the
Yes.
press specifically. I go after, like, again, the sacred cows, and you're saying this, and you're saying it from a man's perspective, and because you know there's or both perspectives really, which is really interesting actually. Jesus, that's big. Yeah. Dope.
Mhm.
Lucky you.
Lucky schmucky, you
No,
know.
I don't mean lucky. No. In this lifetime,
Yes.
to be able to explore both is very interesting.
It is. It's very.
But what I noticed was, yes, we have the Jane Fondas and the Gloria Steinems, but there's nobody really affecting, like, the way I speak, and how I write. Kind of it's stuff that everybody's thinking. I'm not saying Deep Thoughts by Jack Handey, but nobody's fucking saying it. I'm like, why is nobody saying this?
Correct.
Like, I'm not willing to live in your funhouse anymore. I'm not willing to make your life easier, to subscribe by your rules, to subscribe to your illusions, because your illusions don't apply to me.
Mhm.
Like, the way you live your life, that's cool. You do you.
Mm-hmm.
I can help you improve it if you want. Cool.
Mhm.
Not, you do you, but stay off me
Mm-hmm.
and stay off women. And they're not. And they're squeezing us hard. And I'm tired of us being killed. 60% of gun violence deaths in this country are women. Nobody even knows that statistic.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me if that wasn't 60% of gun violence deaths in all the United States, gay men, we wouldn't have a fucking serious problem here.
Mm-hmm.
We would have, seriously, this would be an epidemic and a crisis, but it doesn't matter. It's just women. It's okay.
Right.
Like, you go, you know,
Or any other marginalized group.
any other marginalized group.
Just not women.
But women, you know, John Lennon said they're the N-word of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And of all races, you know. But females, I'm like, where is your lead? I'm not trying to be the leader. I'm just like, I was waiting for somebody else to do it. I would rather not do this.
Mhm.
I would rather do something else. But there's nobody. I looked around. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I can't do this. I can't live. I came back to America a couple years ago, and I was like, fuck, you're all stupid.
From
I've been traveling the world. I've been doing like photography and a lot of
Oh,
stuff.
that's
all over the
amazing.
place. Yeah, 'cause I'm a photographer too. And recording a lot of music over in Europe and just living my life more over there because it's weird. I've never, since I was born to American parents, I can't claim like to be, and even though I was born there and stuff, I didn't live there long enough to be fully European, but I definitely lived there long enough to not be fully American. So I don't belong really to any country.
I'm
Or
proud
any
to be an
place.
American, but I will say there's a weird sense of freedom over there.
There's
Especially
it's not
go to
weird,
London
they
a
understand
lot.
time very differently. It's a
Yeah.
very young country, and they're really. You have to take a break. They're really dedicated to being young, macho, and stupid. And I'm like, yo, bitches, grow up because
Right.
you're going to kill everybody. So we're in a hurry right now.
Right.
We are in a hurry.
Right.
We've got more of Rose McGowan. My goodness, it's amazing. Right after this break.
Okay.
You know, when I knew I was going to New York for this wedding, I got my Today Ticks working before I even got on the plane.
And you can do that.
Yeah, I did. I you know, you can wait it to the last minute, obviously, because that's the brilliance of Today Ticks. But I planned in advance. I knew the shows I wanted to see, and I bought my tickets on Today Ticks before I got on the airplane. So when I was ready to get in that theater, I had my Today Ticks attendant waiting for me with a smile on her
Concierge
face.
service.
It's concierge service,
Yep.
and I enjoyed my shows. I got good tickets too.
I have to tell you, I know that I'm going for Pride, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm already thinking, my brain's already thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm doing the commentary on ABC 7 for the parade.
Uh-huh.
And after that, I'm thinking, it's not going to be that late.
No.
I'm going to be able to go see a show.
Absolutely.
And then I can go to the dance at the pier after.
Sure.
All of that stuff. So I really want to see Great Comet. I do want to see Groundhog's Day as well. So there's
Yeah.
a few shows that I know that are going on right now that I want to see. But just like you said, I like kind of planning in advance so I know that I have it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then worst comes to worst, deal with it then. But I kind of want to see out of all of them the great comment.
Well, of course, and they have tickets not just on Broadway, but all over town.
Oh,
and we're talking
yeah.
every city. I get them here in Los Angeles. They are in Seattle, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Atlanta. Today Tix is really the 21st century way to get the tickets you want without the hassle.
Oh.
There's zero hassle.
Honey, and listen to this. If you're in Chicago, make sure to check out the daily $25 lottery for tickets to Moby Dick, the award-winning circus adventure. I'm telling you, you cannot go wrong with Today Tix. Rue and I have been, actually, they came on as sponsors because we were talking about them.
Because we loved them so much.
That just goes to show you that we have integrity, kids. We don't talk about things we don't believe in. Honest to God. And that's how we feel so strongly about Today Tix. Insider deals, exclusive offers, up to 50% off in just a few taps of that app. And Today Tix is going to offer you, let me say that in English, they would like to offer you $20 off your first purchase with the code RU. And what you're paying for tickets, that's almost free.
Right, exactly.
Let's call it what it is.
Let's call it what it is.
So download the Today Tix app for free on your phone, or you can go to Today Tix, that's TIX.com, to see what's playing this week where you are, and treat yourself to a show. TodayTix.com, offer code RU, and have fun at the theater.
Yes. We are back with Rose McGowan. We're trying to figure out the world. What is the name of your book?
Brave.
Brave. We're trying to get to the
kind of like a
root of
how-to.
this thing.
How to be brave?
Navigate.
Because nobody's ever taught that. You're like, America has that big slogan, no fear. I'm like, why? I'm afraid all the time. I just do it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
My ankles, believe me, when I cause Twitter storms and shit storms, my ankles shake. It's weird having thought directed towards you.
Yes.
It's a very unusual, that when something is all over the media, you have your phone.
It's draining.
You don't touch the app, you don't look at it, but you can feel it.
Yes.
It's
You
like
can.
buzzing through it.
Yeah.
Right? And like when things spike, and it's a very unusual feeling that most people won't know,
Mhm.
and it's very weird to understand you're part of collective thought, at least for like that moment, and you can feel it for sure, and you can feel a lot of the anger. I get a lot of angry, white males coming after me, like traditional, just like somebody on Twitter the other day, and I always touch their profile picture and I do a screenshot and just tweet that. And I'm like, thanks, dude. So this guy was like, shut up and spread your legs.
Oh.
And I clicked on his profile photo, and he's there holding his newborn baby with his wife behind him in the hospital bed. I'm like, screenshot.
Wow.
And you also see that those people,
I'm
they have
gonna
about
tweet you.
11 followers.
Of course. And there's,
Yeah.
but I'm like, God, like you could be so much cooler. You don't have to be like that.
Yeah, and why do they get away with saying it?
And then people are like, oh, you're an actress. You're not allowed to talk. Shut up. You are. You're just jealous that I have a bigger platform, but I worked for it.
A
You
whole
didn't.
thing I
So
don't
shut up.
understand. Why? Because performers or actors, all of a sudden they're not allowed to have a political point of view.
Right.
Well,
Shut up and just act.
Shut up and just
What?
act. Oh, I'm
You're
sorry.
still
I'm
a
supposed to
human.
be your minstrel. I'm supposed to be like, oh,
Exactly.
shut up and dance. No, you
Right.
shut up.
Right. Especially when there's a reality star in the White House right now, a performer.
Thank you.
No, that's the biggest. Like, you're like, really? You're gonna still do that old trope on me? You're still gonna
Exactly.
tell me to shut up because I'm just an actress? At least I accomplished something.
And I got to tell you, I pay 40% of
Unlike
all
a
of my
reality show star.
earnings. 40% of all my earnings go to the government. 40%. And I
too.
just think,
And
know
he
what?
paid what, like 0.5%?
Right. And I think I better speak up. I've worked for every single penny.
Yes.
I'm going to speak
I'm
up.
somebody who slept in squats, under houses. Like, I've pulled my way up. I have never been helped by a single person. And in fact, mostly by women in this town have had the opposite. Very treacherous people that were representing me in my life. And so that, like, really formed who I was. I didn't have to. I wish I hadn't had to have formed entirely this way. I wish I didn't have to fight. I wish I could just, like, be self in my own life entirely, but I'm not, because I have always been trained to be actually quite selfless.
Sounds like you can't be.
I can't be.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
who I am.
Just remember, when you fight with monsters, be careful not to
I know.
become one.
Oh no. I that's great advice. I definitely don't think I have that in me either. And I've never thought I do not think I'm superior to or less than, but I do think I've worked hard and might be superior in some ways because I've fought for that.
Mhm.
For
You
the
are.
mind.
Yeah, you are.
I've developed in very interesting ways. I've done that on purpose and also just by nature. And I want other people to come and have as dope of a life as I've had. And I'm sure a lot of people have dope lives, but I think sometimes when, again, I don't have the classical training from each country that they put into you, you form differently.
You absolutely do. I
didn't have to get out of the matrix. I wasn't in the matrix.
I was never in the matrix. If I remember when I was 13, I made a vow to myself. I knew that it was my time to decide what my identity was going to be. And I thought, I'm not going to choose one. I'm going to continue. And I'll try to play along to get through it. And I have for thus far. But, I
never
always
played
have
along that well. But other than the long hair, that was my concession. And then I would let makeup artists in Hollywood make me look like a Trump beauty pageant contestant. It got so weird. I could no longer even tell how weird I looked.
Well, you had your fingers crossed the whole time. You were able to play along for a minute until you just couldn't play along.
Yeah, I was done.
No, it's
Pull
what
and
you
pray.
have. But it's just, I have to always tell myself that there's a balance in life, as the sun, the stars, the moon, but also to that these people are my teacher. I am not their teacher. If they get something from my experience, right on. Okay, buddy, holy dooly. But I have to remember that I'm here as an observer and that I can't get too attached to it. My teacher said, Rue, don't take it too seriously. It's like in The Wizard of Oz where they say, Dorothy, wake up, Dorothy, wake up. Don't get too sucked into the poppies or whatever that comes along. So I'm talking to you this whole time, and I understand the fire, understand the fight, because I got it too, and it frustrates me so much. But I have in the meditation when I'm out hanging on the stars, I get to say, Rue, in this silence, in this quiet place, this is the truth.
I protect that.
This is the
That
truth.
very much.
Good.
I protect that part of me very, very
Bigly.
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 I protect that bigly. I go bigly all the time. Bigly.
So you've quit acting as an actor for now. For
I guess,
today.
you never know.
Today.
Today, it's been a while. It was giving me like camera flashes were giving me like PTSD, like for real.
Mm-hmm.
It's assaultive. The life was just not the life. It was not my skin, and everybody was telling me how lucky I was. Everybody on the street, the media, everyone's like, "You're so lucky." I remember being at 7-Eleven one night at the height of my fame. And like TV fame, all that stuff, which is really different. It's crazy. Like, you know how that is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're in people's bedrooms. It's a whole different ball game than when you're just doing music or in movies. And it's like it's. I lost my train of thought thinking about
you're talking about replenishing your energy. You've been drained by this thing.
They drained me so hard. It took years. And the thing was, for me, it was just, I remember, I was at 7-Eleven one night and I had my head bowed down and I this thought went through my head, I think I'm the loneliest person in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then right behind, the guy behind the counter goes, you must have the luckiest life. And I'm like, on the surface, and a lot of people are like, shut up, you made money. I'm like, I would have made money no matter what because I work really hard and in all different areas.
People only see the money, don't
And I'm like, but you're also, it's an illusion of money, as we know too. And that might be your barometer of what is sold to you as your idea of success. That's not mine. Don't make, again, your rules mine.
Mm-hmm.
Like Madonna says, I'm not your bitch. Don't put your shit on me.
Maybe you would be more comfortable.
Bitch, don't put your shit on me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'd be more comfortable in something you wrote or you direct.
Yeah,
performing.
I don't really need to be on screen.
Right.
I don't
No, I
actually
hear you.
care.
Gotcha.
I hear you.
I just don't like actually. I've had enough cameras pointed at me.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've done it. Like, I really did it. I did it for a real long time.
You
I
certainly
estimated I
did.
worked on sets for 57,000 hours.
And you've given us some good stuff, babe.
And I wanted to make performances that would last. And so I did. And
You did.
And I did it. And it's cool to have other chapters, and to have other chapters and to realize in a way I am kind of a politician, except for I can't be elected. I can't be voted out of office.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because you weren't born here, you could never run for anything?
I can actually. There's a gray area because my parents were American.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm working
Have you
for.
met
Yeah.
other actresses who?
No.
No. Because I would think that there would be a secret society of women who have been
Maybe.
through the ringer and who have come out on the other side. And
I don't know where they are. I would
be interesting to-
come find me if you're out there.
it'd be interesting to
Yeah, for sure.
because the stories to tell and collectively the stories to tell and have a consortium of people figuring out how to change the system or how to create a different system.
It just needs to be different because this system doesn't work. This system doesn't work for the world. Cinema's dying, like literally dying.
That's why all movie stars are coming to television now.
Well, that's because there's nothing there because they've dumbed it down so much. There's not much left to go.
Yeah.
There's not that far. And because, they get these guys straight out of USC. They do one short film. It's at Sundance. Then they get hired to do like
Fantastic
a
Four.
$100 million movie. And these guys are not developed as artists or human beings. And they're making, again, thought for the world. And they have a real narrow perspective.
But you realize too that Hollywood doesn't have a moral obligation. They have a monetary
I think they have a
obligation.
There is no
moral
moral
obligation.
compass.
Well, but
There isn't one, but I think they do.
well, but the thing is, they make movies for the people who pay for the tickets. Who pays the tickets? 14-year-old boys
But
who
if
want to see superheroes.
That's not true. You're wrong.
How's that?
You're actually wrong. You're totally wrong.
Women also love to go to
No,
movies.
that's not. No, first of all, you're wrong. That's an age-old lie. Statistics: it's women that go drive box office. It's girls that take their boyfriend or their girlfriends or whomever. Boys are downloading it illegally on BitTorrent. They're not buying these tickets. That's the great fallacy. They think it's all 14-year-old boys. That's not who's
You go to a
there.
movie theater, women are there.
It's not boys. So
Yeah.
women just go to, there's 23% of speaking roles on screen last year are women. That's it, 23%. And you imagine now how those women are portrayed by these dudes. Now, that is what we get to go see as our mirror. Now, how offended were you a long time by gay portrayals in movies and in mainstream shit, right?
I'm Samantha Stevens. I saw it all as bullshit, and
Right.
I never took it seriously.
No, I never took it seriously, but
And I never looked
but
to movies
I think
or TV.
a lot of kids, I noticed a lot of kids that were runaways too, and they were like newly out and got kicked out and all that crap, which is beyond a nightmare. But I was that way too, but for various reasons. I saw sometimes if they're from a small town, I would talk. They felt like, and I remember someone like he's like, well, it took me a long time to come out because I thought like if I have to be gay, then I have to behave like the ones I've seen in movies and TV. And I'm like, yeah, but that's written by a straight guy's imagination of what he thinks a gay guy is.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't actually. You can, if you want to, sure, but you don't have to. That's not your choice. And a lot of them, that's the mirror they're given.
Right.
So imagine the mirror girls are given. You see these women tottering around in high heels with fake nails, fake hair, fake everything. You go to Miami and you're like, you are completely an external liver. You have now turned yourself into, you're seeing yourself through men's eyes. That is the male gaze. It's something that's been documented and studied. And it's women seeing themselves through a male's eyes. But not even a man, like one man, like all of them.
Sure.
And it fucks your brain up. And so, again, you and I have had very different experiences. And as a woman, it's, something that's funny. I talked to my trans friends about it. I'm like, what you guys have never, I say guys, whatever, you girls, women have never asked me what it's like to be a woman. You've never once asked me what it was like to grow up as a woman. What's it like to get a period? What's it like when you grow breast and people all of a sudden are screaming at you on the streets? What's it like when your world gets loud? What's it like? Because they assume because they felt like a woman on the inside, that's not developing as a woman. That's not growing as a woman. That's not living in this world as a woman. And a lot of the stuff I hear trans complaining about, I'm like, yeah, welcome to the world.
Mm-hmm.
This is our world.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is how you're being treated? Okay, me too.
Yeah.
And then they are treated that way.
And they are treated that way. But so are we.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fun. And a lot of them go from, it's a shock. It's literally a shock to their system.
Absolutely.
True, but I'll say that most trans kids and trans people that do transition have been called out in society in different ways.
Oh, completely. Oh, no,
So-
that's a different path,
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. But some of the more surface stuff that I see, there's a lot of things that are like verbatim the same complaints.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely there's another set of circumstances, obviously. But, I think there needs to be, like, what you were talking about, all these communities being separated, like the gay community, the black community. Like, when I got really mad, honestly, I got mad at the HRC. I got mad at GLAAD. I got mad at NAACP when equal pay for women was voted down almost 2 years ago. There was not a peep from any one of these organizations. I'm like, do you not represent women?
Right. Right.
Do you not?
You know what's
But
interesting,
nobody
too?
said a goddamn thing.
No, and they
And you could
continue
tell
won't.
you if they were voting down equal pay for gay men, all hell would have broken loose. And that is some fucked up shit, and I'm not having it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Because I
What's
feel
true?
like the equal pay for gay men thing, they'll fight a little bit louder. But it's not even big enough yet. Meaning, I don't put them on the same thing. I think it would be even bigger.
I'm saying they represent women. I'm saying these are powerful entities and organizations that could have said something.
They should have said
Nobody
something.
said a goddamn thing. It was met with
100%.
silence. Gloria Steinem tweeted something. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's going to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I understand.
But the thing is, to affect change, you need to, like, punch through. You do. you have to like scratch the needle. You have to scratch the record
Mm-hmm.
and get people like talking in a different way. I engage the public and I speak in a way, and nobody's gone rogue like this. Nobody in Hollywood.
No, I
Nobody.
can't. I can't.
Absolutely not.
I can't imagine anyone.
No, there was a woman I know who works at Hollywood Reporter, and she was trying to get actresses to comment on whether, in the age of Hillary Clinton, dresses on the red carpet were stupid. And I was like, yeah, of course they are. Duh, looks regressive and dumb. You all look like you're in a weird bubble from like 20 years ago.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look like the rest of the world. And Hollywood's dying because it doesn't seem pertinent. And the bubble out here, everyone out here is like really obsessed with being hot. And I'm like, you want to be cool. There's a difference. Temperature-wise too. But it's definitely, for me, I was like waiting. I was, again, after the equal pay for women, that's when it really tipped it for me. I was like, I actually didn't even know that was a vote.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what? We have to vote on this?
I think they kept it quiet for a reason.
I thought it was just a systemic assholism. I didn't know it was actually legal to be this way.
Yeah.
We're the only country, first world country, industrialized nation that does not have protection for women in the Constitution.
Oh my God, there's
a
so
lot, dude.
much. There's so
so
much. Rose McGowan, man, you really
Let's just do it. And then we're going to have a party.
And then we're going to party. And we may have to party first and then go to war because I think there's a balance that's so important.
Well, you can have a party at the war.
Well, let's party while we war.
I'm going to party while we war. Why not? I do it.
Thank you so much. When is the book coming out?
The book is coming out in November. The album's coming out around the same time. My album's called Tetrachromacy. That's a disorder. They call it a disorder, but I think it's amazing. There's only 2 people in the world that have it, apparently. You can see over 1 million colors.
I love that.
Man,
and so
that's
is there
amazing.
a rosemcgowan.com where we can get all this
Almost.
information?
Almost. I'm building, actually, one of my things, I'm building an app and a website that's kind of a portal into an artist's mind, and it's to rewire thought. Because I feel like creativity is just taken out of people real young, and that's a tragedy. And I think that's when people they're like, I'm not on the creative side. I'm like, why not? Like, if I was doing anything, I'd be creative at it.
Right.
And they steal it from people because it doesn't benefit the people in charge.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give it back.
Love that.
And I know you can do that.
Yeah.
All right, kiddo. Thank you so much, Rose
Thanks for
McGowan.
Follow me on
Yes.
Instagram and tweeters and stuff.
What's your handle?
Rose McGowan.
Rose McGowan.
A-N.
And she's got something to say.
She's got
Now and then I pop off. Just now and then.
You're fun to follow. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mom.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
Michelle Visage.
Till
until
next time,
my
Rue.
darling.
Bye.
Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Amen.